Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. My name is Franklin Smith, and I'm Executive Director of AAC. And it is my pleasure to introduce tonight's webinar entitled Getting Families on Board via Tele-AAC with Avaz. Being that it is October, this is International AAC Awareness Month, and AAC is thrilled to be able to offer this webinar in partnership with our good friends from Avaz. AAC is very appreciative of Avaz's support, particularly for AAC Connect, our very successful AAC Connect, and for all of our AAC conferences and webinars. So before I introduce our moderator for this evening, just a few points, just some housekeeping points. This evening's webinar is being recorded, and that recording will be available off of the AAC International website in a few days. If you can get benefit from having auto captioning, I should say, is available. You just need to start it on your end, each individual user end. If you don't require them, then you don't have to have them. That's fine. If you have any questions, feel free to type those questions in the Zoom question and answer pane at any time during the presentation. We will be dealing with questions and answers on a time permitting basis after the formal presentation. Yes, please, by all means, please do check out the AAC International website for all of the activities during AAC Awareness Month. We are offering a number of webinars. Our chapters around the world are involved in many different activities to support AAC Awareness Month. So by all means, please do check out the AAC website. So, oh yes, and one final point, I will be sharing a PDF version of tonight's presentation slides through the Zoom chat file sharing functionality. So don't worry, you don't need to write notes furiously. I'll be dropping that PDF file in during the presentation. So without further ado, as I said, AAC is very appreciative of the support from our good friends at Avaz. And I would at this point like to hand it over to tonight's moderator, Lalitha Nagarajan from Avaz. So Lalitha, I am going to stop my screen share and I will allow you to take it away. Oh, sorry, Lalitha, I think you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you so much, Franklin. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to be here. I'm Lalitha Nagarajan. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, I hope you're able to see that. Okay. So I'm Lalitha Nagarajan from the Avaz team. And today's presentation is about getting families on board via Tele-AAC using Avaz. So Avaz is an AAC app. And so this is a warm hello and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, in whichever part of the world you are from. And I'm here with my team, whom I'll be introducing very shortly. So the objectives of today's webinar is for training parents to become more effective communication partners. And this we are doing through teletherapy. So this involves teletherapy strategies, features of Avaz app, which are specifically targeted towards being parent-friendly and training parents, and also fun activity ideas that we include for family members during teletherapy. So the agenda will be, I'll start with a brief introduction and a background, and then set the stage for the main content of today's presentation. So for introductions, I am Lalitha, and I've been working with the Avaz team for more than 10 years. And I currently head the customer success team and serve as the primary interface between the product and the customer, and have had several interactions with speech therapists, families, and special educators for a better understanding of AAC and interventions. And it's been a great journey for me. I'd like to introduce my colleagues, Niveditha. They're both speech therapists and will be doing the bulk of the presentations today. Niveditha has 16 years of experience and has had experience in NHS, UK, special schools, hospitals, private clinics, etc. And her special interest includes facilitating early communication, improving child-parent bonding, and enhancing social skills. Nayantara has had, again, experience in rehabilitation, early intervention, and school settings, and in India and Australia. Her goal is to provide a holistic intervention approach tailor-made for her clients and their families. So to get on to a brief background about how Avaz came into being and where we stand today. Avaz is the first indigenous high-tech AAC that has been introduced in India. And this was introduced in 2010. And just for a comparison, Dynabox was available in the US from 1983 onwards. So that's almost 4 decades later. No, I would say, yeah, 3 decades later, sorry. So pre-2010, before Avaz was introduced, there was very little awareness about AAC, especially high-tech AAC, and very limited knowledge of complex communication needs and AAC interventions, because there was hardly any use of AAC, leave alone high-tech AAC. And the few high-tech AACs that were imported were exorbitantly priced, and they were really not affordable to the common man. So just to give you another perspective about the enormous paucity of speech therapists, which is another challenge that we face in India. There is a huge gap between the supply and the demand. So I'll just play you a brief video clip from...
In the entire country of 1 billion people,
I hope you're able to hear
there
this.
are 1,800 speech therapists. In America, which has 1/3 the population, there are 180,000 of them. However, you have to realize that today we live really in the golden age of technology. And it is possible today to empower parents and to empower special educators to play the role that a therapist plays in America.
So as you can see, there is a huge dearth of speech therapists in India. And that's the reason it led us...
In India.
So that's the reason it shifted our perspectives and our priorities towards bridging that AAC gap in India. So our primary focus, or one of the very key focuses, became about raising awareness about AAC and intervention to families, so that it could empower parents and families to actually take control of their own children's future by starting to slowly bridge that gap between the availability of speech therapists, which led us on to teletherapy, which became one of the services that we've started offering in the recent years, in the recent past. And so we'll go on to how telepractice and tele-AAC has impacted parents. And I'll hand it over to my colleague Niveditha to take this forward. Just thank you, Lalitha. Just... yeah.
Okay, so I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay. So, welcome everyone. And let's start with our first objective for today's presentation, where we look at how we went about training parents during our teletherapy sessions. After assessment, we realized that parents were confused about a couple of things. They did not know how to start using Avaz, and those who had made a start did not know how to proceed beyond requesting. And in an attempt to help the child communicate, we saw that parents were excessively prompting the child or not giving them adequate time to respond. Avaz was seen as a tabletop activity in some families where it was used only during a particular time of the day. This was because they did not know how to integrate it into the child's life. And in many families, it was the mother's responsibility to train the child to use Avaz. It was difficult for her as it is, and it was all the more difficult if she was a working parent. So we recommended that parents have a simple setup for every teletherapy session. So they would have their Avaz, which was used for, which the child would use for communicating during the session. And they would also have a laptop for video conferencing that they would use to interact with the therapist and look at the materials that were shared on the screen. For every session, we had a member of the Avaz support team joining us, and if parents had any difficulties with the customization or using the app, he was always available to provide technical assistance. Before starting off with therapy, we wanted to make sure that parents fully understood modeling and prompting, because these were key strategies that would be used time and again in therapy. So we started by giving them a clear explanation about the concepts, and we demonstrated the same during our sessions. This was followed by sharing resource materials in the form of videos and posters that they could look at in their leisure and get a complete understanding of the concepts. We then gave them an opportunity to implement the strategies during the session, where we observed their interaction and gave them real-time feedback. So this definitely got them to use the strategies better at home. Examples of some materials that were shared include core word posters. These gave them ideas about how to use a particular core word throughout the day in different contexts. We also shared material relating to AAC, like the prompting hierarchy, where parents could read up and identify the level at which they were modeling currently, so that they could work their way up the hierarchy in getting the child to be an independent user. In order to get the child to be motivated about using Avaz, we suggested that parents use Avaz in communicating, in talking to him about all his favorites. So he could use his Avaz when he wanted to talk about his favorite food, or about his pet dog with whom he played every evening, or about his visit to the restaurant. So the topic was interesting, and we could see that the child was more inclined and highly motivated to use the device. We have a couple of video clippings to show exactly how we went about guiding them during our sessions. So in this video clip is about the importance of wait time. Here we have a minimally verbal adult coming out with a 3-word sentence with adequate wait time. In this video and in the next, we have the conversation happening in English as well as in an Indian language. So we have the subtitles to help you understand.
புடிச்ச ஒரு புக் எடுத்துட்டு போய் அந்த லைப்ரரியன் கிட்ட கொடுக்குறான். அப்ப என்ன சொல்லுவான்? Ma'am,
I want to read.
So naturally, his mother was very excited. Sorry,
புடிச்ச
his mother was very excited to see his sentence production, and here she agrees that wait time was important, and she agrees to use it when interacting with her son every day.
ஆமா ஆமா இப்ப நான் வந்து நீங்க சொல்ற மாதிரி ப்ராம்ப்ட் பண்ணாம டைம் ப்ராசஸிங் டைம் கொடுத்துட்டு ஐ வில் see what he wants to say இந்த மாதிரி
சூப்பரா பண்றாரு because he is definitely taking in what கொஞ்சம் ஒரு 5 to 10 seconds or maybe 15 seconds
yeah, 20 seconds 20-30 seconds கூட I think we should give அதே.
And here we are guiding the mother about how to model when she is interacting with a child during sensory play.
Do you want more? Do you want more?
yes sir. Can you point to the pictures more or over?
அப்போ இங்க பாரு. More. Or over. Over. You want more? Okay.
Wow.
She was nodding
One
her
more.
head in affirmation. And here we are inviting the father to share the responsibility of modeling.
When he asks for it, no, you give him the grains.
Okay. No, he will do it for himself, right?
He will do it for himself. He will say want grains, and you share the vessel with him. She will just keep looking, and for in her turn, let her ask.
Okay. Wait.
Okay, Appa. I want grain.
Yes.
Four.
Four.
Look. 4. Look here.
Okay.
Look here, look. I want grain. Grain.
See, I'm putting on Appa's head. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
And in this slide, we got the mother aware that she was excessively prompting her child. So in the first picture, you can see that she is physically prompting her child to respond. Whereas in the second picture, after receiving instruction, you can see that she's allowing her daughter to point on her own. Every teletherapy session ended with a detailed explanation about the work that has to be done at home throughout the week. Sorry about that.
You can model I want something, and if she just shows want grains is also more than enough.
Fine. Yeah.
Because right now she's comfortable with showing grains.
Yes.
So one more word in addition is okay.
Sure.
But when you are modeling, you just show I want.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
We need not expect her to use that right now.
Okay. Fine.
If she uses it on her own, it's very good. Otherwise, it's okay. But definitely want grains, more grains, and grains over.
So this is the documentation of the home practice that was given for another child. So in the yellow box, you can see that parents had information about specific words and contexts that they had to focus on. And in the beginning of every session, we monitored the home practice that was done during the week. So parents gave us specific information about the words that they had modeled, the words the child had used, and the prompt level that was needed to get him to respond. So when we monitored home practice, we could see that parents were more committed towards carrying out the follow-up at home, and also the Avaz device usage was considerably more. And here we have our support team helping a mother with the guided access setup in her iPad.
Is now set the triple click button in settings to guided access. This enables you to triple click the home button to access guided access page. Now open up, triple click the home button.
Guided access.
See, when you triple click the home button, this opens up the guided access page. Then you set it up. Then you start the start guided access.
Yeah, so this is on only. See, it says resume. So I press resume. It says circle areas on the screen you would like to disable.
Can you just?
I
you
got it. I got it. I got it.
That is.
So that was what happened during the session. So with that, we come to the end of the first objective, and I will let my colleague Nayantara take it from here. Thank you.
Is now set the triple click button in settings to guided access.
Thanks, Niveditha. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. So just continuing on with the presentation, please bear with me as I get my screen ready for you. Almost there. Okay. So I guess moving on to this section of the presentation, I want to talk to you about the different features of Aavz app that parents have told us that they found really useful and that helps them use the app really effectively. So first, what I'm going to do is, I guess, show you a quick look of the app. And then after that, we're going to look at the different functions that we've got some parent feedback on. And later we look at some additional settings too about the app. So now I'm just going to start sharing screen from the iPad where I have the app. So again, please give me a moment as I set that up. I hope you're all able to see my Avaz screen. So this is an example of what the home screen of Avaz looks like. As you can see, there are some buttons for function right up on top in the top corner. And then we have on the right side panel, you have the functions for go back, home, and cowords. So let's just quickly go into cowords. So this has got, all of the different cowords that we might need for our communication, and always opportunity to add in more. So going back home, we also have a folder down here in the left corner called the quick, which lets us access some of the, those immediate responses that you would like to give. And then we have the keyboard mode too, which is accessible here from the keyboard icon. And this is an example of what our keyboard mode looks like. So for example, if I want to say
A-O-W,
we also have the prediction options.
how, A-R-R-U, space,
So I can type out a sentence in this way using the keyboard mode. And it also provides me options for if I wanted to change the word. So it gives
How
me
are you?
prediction. And if I tap on the message box, which is right up here,
How are you?
it speaks out the message. So going back into the picture mode, this is just, like I said, a very quick look into what Avaz looks like. Now I'm going to move on to talking about all of the features that families find useful. So first is just, the ease with which they're able to customize Avaz for their user. So for example, if your family decide, you're going to go to Pizza Hut tonight for dinner and you want to make a folder with all of the things that you might find on a menu.
Food.
So you go into food, and then you decide you want to make a folder for Pizza Hut. So how you can get that set up is you can use the edit button right in the right top corner. And what happens is it then activates a whole set of features. So you have add new, which is in the left top corner. And then I decide I want to add a category or a folder. So then I'm going to call it Pizza Hut. So what it does is Avaz selects from a library of images that is already available. So right now they've put this picture for Pizza Hut. So I decide, nope, I want to change it. Let's see what else is available. So you can use the arrow. Maybe this one. This one looks a little bit better. So I'm going to save this one. So once I've hit saved, it's come up with the new folder. Now I decide, yes, so I'm going to put in the different items from the menu. So we go in. And again, so you use the add new option again to add a new word. So you say add new message. So I guess the first option would be pizza. So if you are not happy with the images that we have in our library, or you think, you could find a better picture online, we have access to the internet's images. So if you can see the web option, so that what it does is it searches images from the internet for you. So then I'm going to say web. Yeah, I think I like this picture better. So there's an opportunity for you to select pictures from the internet as well. Now, moving on, I'm going to hit save. Suppose there's a lot of items that you want to add at one go. You don't have to add them one by one. So we have the feature available to us to, again, add multiple items in one go. So I, again, hit add new, add many items together. And then I'm just going to add some sides we might find. So some garlic bread, some pasta, and some chicken wings. Okay, so that way you can see it's added all three words in one go. And so now I decide, I don't like the picture of the pasta. I think I'd like to change this one. So you tap on it again, it gets selected. And then you say change, which is here on the right top corner. So I say change. So I'm going to select a picture that I took the other day of the pasta that I made. So you have also a functionality to add pictures from your device's gallery, or even use the little camera option to take a picture then and there. So I'm going to take a picture that I'd already saved. Okay. There we go. I like that picture of the pasta better. So that's saved. So that's just an example of how easy it is to do that customization, to add images. So I'm just going to hit edit again. So how this edit button functions is it's like a save option. So once I've done my changes, I hit edit, and then all of the changes that I've made get saved. Now, going back home, I decide I want to share some information with you about myself. So I'm going to go to quick. About me. And I'm going to share my name with you. So I'm going to add a new message. So I'm going to type out my name is Nayantara. So along with the functionality to change the images, we can also change how it sounds. So at the moment, what this is going to sound like is,
my name is Nayantara.
So I want to change this. So we have the capability to record our own voice and put that as the speech output for the word. So if you use the red circle icon, that activates the recording. My name is Nayantara. The recording. My name is Nayantara. So that way I've been able to save my own voice and I can use that now as the speech output. So then again, if I decide, no, I want to try again, I can always delete using the little trash can icon, which is right next to it. And then I can try again and save it. So along with images, we can customize the voice. And I'm going to hit edit again because that saves our changes. The next thing that I plan to show you. Okay, so I'm going to do some aided language and talk about planning as I'm telling you verbally. So I'm going to go into actions. I can't find the word plan, so I'm going to add it in. So again, we go back to edit, add new message, and I'm going to say plan. So the next thing I plan to show you. So as you can see, the image on the left already has a green background. So Avaz has the ability to automatically sense what type of word it is and put it into a category. So actions are in green color. So we have a color coding system available in the device that's able to decide which category that it fits into. So it's recognized that it's a verb. And so verbs are in green. And so it's put planning in green. Okay, so that was the thing that I planned to show you. And also now once you've added it, you decide, I don't want it here. I want it a little bit ahead. So you have the ability to drag and drop it wherever you like. So you'll have to hold on the icon and then slowly drag it to where you like. And then again, hit edit and it gets saved. So just reiterating that it's easy and user-friendly to do customization. And so you can personalize it for your user. The next thing I wanted to show you is, suppose you decide, you're not able to take your device with you when you're going to Pizza Hut this day. So you can always just print out the page that you like and take it with you. So how you can do that is, so let's go back into the Pizza Hut folder. And I decide, okay, so I want to print this because I'm not able to take my iPad with me. So again, we hit edit. And as you can see in the right bottom corner, we have print. So what we can do is we can say, make an Avaz book with this category, and then it changes it into a PDF. So let's have a look. So this is a PDF that's ready to go and get printed. So you can do this with any of the folders quite easily. So next thing is, suppose you decide, suppose you're working on the Avaz device together and suddenly you've forgotten how to do something or you need some help. So not to worry, help is available for you within the app. So we have the help up here in the right top corner. So what it does is you have 3 options available to you. So you can chat. So we can go into a chat, start a chat, and start speaking to someone about the issue that we're having. Or we have explain the screen, where you just have a quick refresher for what each button does on the screen. And then you also have access to the FAQs. So all of these different questions arranged in different categories for you to look at if you're stuck. So not to worry, there is help available even within the app. So the next thing that I wanted to show you is a feature that is catered to parents. So this is the dashboard feature. So this is in the left top corner. You can see dashboard. So inside the dashboard, we have different functions that helps parents support them through their Avaz journey. So one of the first ones is activities, where we have examples of the types of utterances or phrases that you can model for your child. So as you can see, there is, mealtime conversations, conversations about school, conversations about books. So we're just going to quickly look at one of these. So I decide I'm going to have some modeling during mealtime, but I'm stuck for what to model. So you can always go into here. And I'm going to model, I'm hungry. So what it does is it shows you the path that you have to take with a bunch of cues. So as you can see, the I is highlighted and it's moving around telling me that I have to click on it. So I go I. And then it's going to point me to the next word. So it says I have to go to describe.
Describe.
And I have to go to feelings.
Feelings. Hungry.
Okay, so that was an example of what I could model, and it also helped me find out how I could do it. So the second functionality that we have is my sentences. So now, suppose you have, a particular sentence that your user uses a lot, you can put it in here and find out how to model. So how to navigate the different screens and how to figure out your way to model that particular sentence. So for example, if your user uses the sentence, I want to go home, I can say try now. So again, it will give me those visual cues to guide me through the steps. But also, if you didn't need that, you can always say show path, which is up here in the right top corner. And it will show you the different folders and the different steps that you need to take in order to model I, want, go, and home. So this is the second feature in the dashboard. And finally, I want to highlight to you the resources. So we have tips available to parents for parents to check on as they are modeling. So for example, the fourth tip says, expand on whatever your child says by modeling at least 1 or 2 words more than the current level. So this is a great thing for you to look at while you're modeling and while you're learning to use the device. The next thing available is research. So for example, if you're wondering why we're making these recommendations and you wanted to take some time to go ahead and read some articles or some website links, we have all of that available to you. So you have information on parent training and also the different generic information on AAC as well. And finally, help again. So you have another place where you can access help. So this is like a quick demo available to parents. Suppose you need to quickly refresh your memory on the different aspects of the app.
Hi, welcome to Avaz, the visual communication app that helps children develop.
So this is the dashboard feature. So now I'm going to head back. So those were some of the things that we've got feedback on that parents find really useful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you examples of some other settings that we have in the app available to us. So for example, we have for people with needing extra sensory needs, we have a high contrast option available. And for those with motor needs, we can always turn off the page swipe and have a button available for navigation. So if I turn off the page swipe, then
Things.
I have a button here in the right bottom corner that helps me navigate. Okay, so that was a quick look at the different features of the Avaz. So now I'm going to head back to the presentation. Please bear with me as I do that. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're moving on to the final section of the presentation, where we're going to share with you the activities that we've used to engage families. So before we jump right into the activities, I wanted to talk a little bit about engagement. So we all know every family is different, and it's so important to take that time during the sessions to build that rapport and really find out and get to know those families. And sometimes, all of these sessions that we have doesn't always just include therapy. So it includes some bit of counseling and some bit of advocating as well. And, when we've done engagement, what we've really strived to do is get everyone on board. So siblings, the extended family, special educators, and even the teachers that work with the user. So this is an example of when we've had to train the entire team that was working with the child. So for example, you can see the special educator is working with the user at home. The mom attends the meetings from her work, and the speech therapist is doing her modeling. So in this case, we've had to train the entire team with the Avaz. And I guess talking about those other parts of the session, sometimes what we've done is we've do a lot of advocating for the AAC. So I've had a client where we've had to say, you have to take the AAC to the school, even though the school, the teachers were not trained. So, a part of the session was just convincing the family that, we have to take this forward, and we will take all the time we need to support this school with that. And motivation. So, as therapists, we become the family's cheerleaders. So it's so important to praise them when they've done something well, but also give that constructive feedback. And sometimes we've even had to dispel some myths. So we've had a case scenario where a user's grandparent was completely against using an speech generating device. So part of that session was spent in convincing the family, talking about the different myths, and sharing with them the different facts as well. And finally, we've also tried to break norms as much as possible. So usually it's just the moms attending therapy, but whenever we could spot a dad, we would always bring them in, talk to them about AAC, talk to them about what we're doing, and start to get them to join in the family practice. So now I'm going to quickly show you some clips of how we were able to do the different activities. So this is Simon Says. As you can see, they've made a particular folder for it, and you can always adapt the Simon Says according to the child's needs. So this is an example of a folder that one of our families had made. This is for board games. So on the left is an example of a snake and ladders game that one of our families made. And on the right is an example of a folder that we used for another board game. So you can put in things like your turn, my turn, move, roll the dice. All of this information can go in. And I think watching videos and listening to our favorite music is something that we found was really engaging for families. So I'll just show you a quick look into this video.
Okay, so what do you like to watch? To watch. You want to watch? To watch. You want to watch? Being alive, Iman.
Yeah, sure, Adrit. We will watch together.
Nice funny cartoon, है ना? It's a nice funny cartoon.
Yeah. We've also used Avaz to make a recipe book. So this was an example of how the user gave us instructions, and we were able to put it together to make a recipe, step-by-step recipe for how to make some cake. Sorry, I'm just going to rush on here because we're almost there for time. We've had an example of
want the song.
Encouraging the users to ask for their favorite music. And in India, as you all might know, we have lots of festivals, so we've used that aspect of Avaz modeling as well. So I guess to conclude, the teletherapy has enabled us to do our parent training. And this is some of the feedback that we got from families. As you can see, they've sort of understood that, you have to give more opportunities, you have to do that appropriate pausing and not over prompting. And finally, they've understood that, AAC can help with behavior as well. And, we already know this, one size does not fit all. And the same goes for parent training as well. So it's so important to get to know these families and understand, the different needs they have, the different competence levels, whether they're available. So sometimes you have to do asynchronous models of therapy, look at their interests. So some families, what do these families like to do on a day together? So using all of this information to then plan the parent training as well. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Sorry, I know I'm a couple of minutes over. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for being here, and hope you've had an opportunity to have a look into what we've been doing at Avaz with teletherapy. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Nayantara, and thanks for the informative presentations of Niveditha and Nayantara. Let me move on to the questions that we've been getting. So Wade Smith says, what strategies can you use when a new client requests for things that are not available? Is that new things? Can you clarify a bit to help us understand better? Yeah, so one more says, how much does the app cost? So the app costs $199. And currently we're on sale. So that's a good thing that for AAC month, we are on 50% off. So you can get it at $99. And we also have a monthly subscription for $9 a month. And you also can have a free trial for 15 days if you download the non-lifetime edition. So there are two types. One is the lifetime edition, which is a direct download, and the other is a subscription version where you can download it and have a subscription for a month or a year. The yearly subscription, I think, costs around $99. And we also have it on the Android in case you are interested. It's one of the few AAC apps that's available on iPad and Android and iPhones. So you can definitely look into that. And it's also available in different languages. It's there in French, in Danish. We have an Australian version, which is localized for Australia. We have it in Vietnamese and Indian languages, etc. Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. I'm glad you like the ideas.
Lalitha, do you think I can just try answering the question that was put forward earlier?
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
I assume that the participant meant what we would do when the child was asking for something that was not available. So sometimes what we do is maybe model in the device that you could get it at a later time, model the word later, or model the word evening. Something like that could be done to get him to understand that it is not available right now and it will be available at a later time if possible.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Niveditha. Yeah, any other questions? Is there any plan for language output for Mandarin or Chinese? So there is a possibility, there is a feature in Avaz where you can set it to different languages automatically. And you can do that by, there is, let me see if I can show that. So you can select a language on the voice and on the keyboard. So you can add a keyboard, a Chinese keyboard, which is available on iPad. There, how you go about adding a keyboard. Let me see if I can share that and show it to you. Yeah, so in the settings, there is a voice option. Okay, you can go in here and here you have Chinese. Can you see that? These are the Chinese options. You can select that, but this is currently.
Hello, I speak. Hello, I speak Chinese and I can.
So you can test out the voice and you can go into the iPad settings and set up a keyboard. So you can set up the Mandarin keyboard and you can then, so where you say keyboard, you can say add keyboard. And you can add a new keyboard here at the bottom and add a Mandarin or Chinese. So that way you can actually use to type your text in Mandarin, and that would read and set the voice so that it reads out the Mandarin text. I hope that answers your question. Hema says, how can we work on improving acceptance of using AAC device among parents? I have come across a parent who stops therapy when the goals are not aligned with what they want. So, Niveditha,
I can take that question.
Yeah, great.
So I guess, Hema, thanks for your question. I guess a lot of the time then in the sessions would be spent in counseling them about really how it works. You know, we find that it's really important, like this is something that I addressed with one of the speech therapists who works in the AAC space. You may know her. Her name is Carol Zangari, and she was saying from her experience that it's so important right at the beginning to inform families that, you know, the AAC journey is going to look like this. So it's not going to be quick. It's not going to happen overnight. But telling them right in the beginning, giving them that expectation that this is what it's going to look like. So it's going to be a slow process and there would be a lot of practice and a lot of involvement from your side as well. So I think that is one of the first steps. And of course, the second thing is, you know, addressing their concerns. So, you know, having a conversation with them about why really that resistance is available. And seeing if there is anything in your power that you could do to help that. Like sometimes, I think like I was sharing earlier, like my colleague Niveditha has faced that, you know, the family had that resistance. So she had to sit down and have a conversation with the entire family and educate them about, you know, how AAC is beneficial and really go down to the nitty-gritty of AAC. So I think my advice to you would be to have that conversation going right from the beginning and see as best that you can support them through that. Is there anything that you would like to add, Niveditha?
Yeah, definitely. Because we also find getting parents connected to other parents who had success with AAC is something that really motivates them to continue, because when they hear it from a parent, they feel all the more confident to go ahead with therapy. That is one thing that I found.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Niveditha and Nayantara. One more question is, can a speech therapist download a free version for evaluation or trials? Yes, absolutely. That's the one I said, that it's called Aavz AAC, and that's the one that's available on iOS for a free download. And you can do a 15-day trial by just signing up with your email ID, after which the voices and the images will not work until you sign up for either a monthly at $9.99 or an annual at $100 or a lifetime. So you can have a free version for sure. Yeah. And yeah, you could even write to us. Sometimes we do give an evaluation, slightly extended evaluation period as well. Hima says mostly they have a resistance because they have a hard time with the child not speaking verbally, and they prefer that over AAC. Yeah. You want to respond? Yeah, Nayantara?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I completely agree. I think all you can do is try your best. Sometimes, you know, there are families that you can help, and sometimes there are families that you can't. So I think my best advice is to just get that conversation started, start talking to them. And like Niveditha said, see if they're happy to connect with another family who's had some success. But yeah, we're all in the same boat. We all see similar families who are really still struggling to, you know, get familiarized with AAC and take it up.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, in India, again, since the awareness levels are much lower, it's even more of a struggle to just get them to accept and get started with AAC. And the myths are enormous in their heads. So it's quite a struggle to, yeah, help them overcome that.
So I guess that's why we're thankful to Isaac now for this opportunity, and hopefully through this, you know, through this webinar, we can get some awareness going too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions? Someone said, hearing about differences between SLP, being an SLP in the US or Canada versus being an SLP in India. Yeah, would you like to take that up? Nayantara, Niveditha, what's the difference between being an SLP in the US or Canada versus India?
So maybe I just like to comment that here it is, I'm not really aware of the responsibilities that they do up in US, but here it is, you do everything together. So it's like a bit, mostly the therapist's job, but a bit of counseling, a bit of education. So everything is given when we, everything is done during therapy.
And there's also a couple of different things, like I think some of the things that we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, like just the context is so different. You know, there is a dearth of SLPs that are trained and that work in AAC space. And even if they do, then we're battling all of these myths and all of these, you know, false ideas that people have about AAC, you know, let alone speech therapy in itself. And also in terms of the context, we have the added complexity of all of the different languages that we have here in India. So depending on which state you live in, which city you live in, you know, what language you speak in your house. So there's that to think about as well. Yeah, I guess, you know, I'm not too sure of what it's like to be working in the US and Canada. I don't have that experience, but these are some of the things that are a bit unique to India.
And also the cultural differences. So a diverse country with lots of cultural differences. So that is another thing that we have to take into consideration when talking to parents or interacting with the child.
Yeah, we have more than 25 different dialects and languages. So there are requests to cater to different languages while in India. So it's not just a single language. So a lot of times even Niveditha and Nayantara do speak in multiple languages to accommodate the parents from different states. So each state has a different language here. And of course, the remuneration part of it, I guess, it's usually different between the US and India. In India, it's mostly in the NGO sector, which is a non-government organization. So a typical remuneration would not be as high as what you would expect in the US, except if you have a private clinic. Yeah, so thank you so much for all your time. And I guess we can wind it up and wrap up the session. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And I just want to, on behalf of Isaac, Lalitha, Nayantara, and Niveditha, thank you so much for your time. We very much appreciate the ongoing association between Isaac and Avaz. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you spoke about this being International AAC Awareness Month and helping to build awareness around the world. And that's certainly, that's very in the forefront of what Isaac wants to achieve. So we're thrilled that you guys could take the time and bring this and share this information with us. And I think by virtue of all the great questions that we had this evening, I think people were very much engaged. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to, yes, once again, remind everyone that this is, October is International AAC Awareness Month. Please do check out the Isaac website. There is a sub-page that you can get to right from the top navigation bar called AAC Awareness Month, and you'll be able to check out all of the amazing activities and webinars that are going to be made available. And as you probably are aware, we had an amazing Isaac Connect experience in August, and our Isaac team is certainly now putting their minds to work for Conference Cancun, which is currently scheduled to take place July 30th to August 4th, 2022. That's next year in beautiful Cancun. So thank you very much. Thank you for being with us this evening. And once again, thanks to our great friends from Avaz for your time, energy, and effort. Much appreciated. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Franklin.
Thank you.
And have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.